What's up, Hubsouth? How's everybody doing? Today we have a joy. We have two live people beside myself. We have Foley and Evan, and we're going to sit here and go over our fantasy football strategies, and I'm sure we'll reminisce about some stuff. But Foley, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's up? What's up? Foley, check yourself. Bell, check yourself.
Foley,
Second place last year, coming for first this year.
This is Evan. It's my league this year. I just need you guys. Might as well just bow out now. I'm taking it. It's gonna happen.
So what I wanted to do this podcast before the draft is kind of go over what everybody kind of goes into our draft, because like we've already talked about. I feel like our draft is crazy with it being a 2 quarterback and all the roster positions, because basically when you draft you don't have anybody left. I mean, last year I got Puka on just a guess.
Yeah.
So
Last year Foley got me Devon A-Chain. I had left the draft early and he was like, threw this guy on there. I was like, oh, whatever.
I knew what I was doing. I was helping you out.
Appreciated that. Yeah, that was a good move.
So I guess what we'll start first is what Foley or Evan, whoever wants to jump in, when you are preparing for the draft, kind of go over, like, I know, Foley, you do a ton of mock drafts. You have a paper, sort of like Matthew Berry's love-hate list. So kind of give me what you go into it.
So I actually switched to spreadsheets this year. Going high tech now. But no, I mean, generally what I do, and this is how I draft as well, is I write out the top 60 players for me, regardless of position. These are the top 60, and I'm going to take those guys until they're all gone. I'm not going to jump down. Whoever's there, I don't care what position, top 60, I'm taking them. And then after that, I've got things broken down into 4 tiers by position. And so I'll look at what I have the most of. Are they, do I need more wide receivers or more running backs? And that'll be the tiebreaker when I'm looking at, if I have tier 1 guys on both sides or tier 3 guys on both sides. But if I'm out of tier 3 wide receivers, then I'm going to take the tier 3 running back. And then the last tiebreaker for me is once I'm past those top 60 guys, I split everybody up into safe or upside picks. So like Cortland Sutton, he's not going to be a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
But he's going to be a 2 or 3 probably. He's going to be solid. He's going to be safe. No matter what, you can put him in there every week. So he's a safe pick for me, and I try to have that balance of safe and upside picks. And that's basically my whole process. It's just going through that, looking at every single player, figuring out where they are in that ranking. And, yeah, are they safe or are they an upside play?
Evan, what you doing?
It's a good strategy. I just feel like it never really quite goes that way. The way that my approach draft every single year is the same. The first 5 picks, if I land in there, I'm going with the top 5 player. I'm going with, no matter who it is, your Christian McCaffrey's, Justin Jefferson, whoever the hell. First 5, if I'm in that spot, I'm picking them first. If I'm past spot 5, my strategy for the last couple of years has always been QB, my 1-2 rounds, every single time. And I follow a kind of strategy like that. Like, I'm feeling like this year is going to be a good 0 RB beginning to this draft. I think I'm going to, if I'm in the second half, start with the quarterbacks, then the wide receivers, not get to running backs until later, 5, 6, 7, because I feel like this is a great year for late round value in running backs.
Well, let me stop you there, because I actually did some research on this, and this is hilarious. So, out of running backs, if you do out of the top 20 scoring last year on our format, and I've done this before, and it's always about this number. So out of the top 10, as far as predictions made by all the, experts, which there is no expert.
Except me.
Foley addicts, whatever. Anyway, so out of 10, only 3 ended up being in the top 10. So it's a 30% hit rate on running backs.
McCaffrey, Breece Hall, was he up there?
Probably Brian Robinson had a good year as far as yardage. I don't know.
He was going to be projected top 10.
McCaffrey, Hall, and Bijan.
Bijan was there.
Yep.
I thought Bijan was going to be fringe.
That was it. And then if you go to quarterbacks, which is another thing, you said draft 2.
That's where I go,
and,
right at the top.
And I went a couple of years thinking the same thing, and I want to agree with you, but it doesn't add up. Same thing. Out of the top 10, 3 only made it. 30% hit rate on the top 10. And if you go to 20, what do you think the hit rate on 20 is? How many out of 20?
I'm gonna give you a 5.
Ding,
out
ding,
of 20.
ding.
Yeah.
Give that man
believe
some
it.
money.
But here's the thing. Here's what you're forgetting, Uriah.
Okay.
I know how to pick the right ones. I know how to pick those 3.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm the one who got Lamar, his big year. I'm the one who got Josh Allen. Justin Fields tearing it up in the second half.
This is my 4th year in the league. So my last 2 years, I didn't come into the draft with a manifesto of scribbled notes.
Holy.
And the last 2 years, I was in the championship, and I was 1 round off.
What was it last year? Scribbled up toilet paper?
Oh yeah, it was ridiculous.
Straight from mugshots.
Straight from the bathroom at mugshots.
You're gonna come in one time with just cut out of magazines like it's a ransom note.
I know, right?
Where it would,
and nobody can read it.
No.
That's
his other trick.
That's the trick.
But
Nobody can steal my rankings if they can't read them.
I probably shouldn't give this out, but this is amazing. So, out of the top 10 wide receivers, what do you think the hit rate on those were?
Oh, God. See, that's tough because wide receivers always overperform, I feel like. I bet it's higher than the other 2. 7? Let's say 7 out of 10.
7, what you got?
I'm going to go 6.
It was 5. 50% hit rate.
Yeah.
And out of 20, how many do you think you hit on 20 out of 20?
I feel like that's going to be a bigger jump than running backs. Out of 20, 9.
I disagree. I'm going to go. I guess if we just projected somewhere between 8 and 10, so same range,
8.
yeah.
8. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about, and this has always been my thing, like I've never really bought into zero running back. There's just so many good wide receivers, like Puka Nacua last year.
Exactly.
I mean, I remember my first year in the league. Again, went to the championship my first year. Brian Quick, Martavis Bryant. These guys were carrying me through.
Nobody has said the name Brian Quick
since that year. But he was great for me that year. Because you can always just find these late round guys.
Only Foley would be like Kevin Mack. I remember when he took me to the championship.
Yeah.
I can still tell you that whole roster. I had Jimmy Garoppolo. I had Ben Roethlisberger.
Khalil Bell won me one in 2010 or something
there
like
you go.
that. He was the second string Bears running back, and he took me all the way.
But it just seems like there's more with wide receiver. It just feels like there's less scarcity. Okay, they're not all going to be top 12 wide receivers, but like the drop off. If you can find the diamonds in the rough, there's just a lot less of a drop off.
Well, I mean, in years past, it was, and this is where zero running back comes from, is, years past you had Marshall Faulk, you had whoever was on the Chiefs was a stud, but now it's 3 running backs make a down.
I will say to that point, and this is in favor of zero RB, is I feel like this year especially is going to be more of a bounce back year for more running backs than typical. Not necessarily that these people have fallen off, but you got so many guys that have gone to a new program that I think that they're going to hit their old potential, what you used to expect out of them. Your Saquons, your Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon. I'm excited about Joe Mixon in Houston. And they both, none of them have been bad, but they've all been just under a little bit, where you would expect them to be.
And there's also the situation where, if you look at just the way NFL defenses are playing right now, there's a lot smaller boxes that the running backs are running into right now. It's just, for a while they were running into these loaded boxes, and it was getting pretty tough to be a productive running back. And, Mixon's a perfect example. Yeah. The Texans have so many receiving weapons that it's going to be empty boxes for Mixon to run through.
Opens it up. Hitting 3.35 all day, he should be good.
Yeah.
Man. He should have a solid year, I would expect.
So, this is an interesting one. So when it comes to the draft, like you said earlier, first round, you pretty much know who you're getting. Mm-hmm. Once your card gets dealt, you're like, okay, this is who I hope to get. What point do you have to pivot in your mindset? Like, is it when Todd or Tony pick the Dan Gronkowski that you have to pivot, or is it the kicker fiasco?
Tyler Bass.
Tyler Bass.
Yes. When do you pivot in your draft strategy?
See, and that's another reason that I usually only strategize 3 or 4 rounds, because after that, there's no telling where anything is going to go. It's usually when somebody jumps to a tight end, or jumps to, if nobody's getting quarterbacks, and I already have because I always go first, but like somebody, when they jump to a position, reach for somebody, that's when things start going off in my head. That's when the alarm bells hit, and I'm thinking I don't know, chase after him a little bit, but So
do you think that's where the runs happen, when somebody reaches and you're like, oh crap, the tight ends have started
for sure,
and I have to get a good tight end.
Yeah, and back when when who was it? I can't remember. It was somebody I wanted last year, and it went.
And it may be my fault, because kicker, defense, tight end, I care less.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I mean, unless
Kyle Pitts.
Oh Lord, Kyle Pitts.
That was going to be one of my predictions.
He's a wide receiver. He's not a tight end.
That's true.
If he's a wide receiver, he's not a very fucking good one.
No, them's fighting words.
I liked him at Florida. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Still like.
So what about you, Foley? When do you pivot?
Folalytics is
that
built
how you
in
say
such a
it?
way.
Say it again.
It is
for me.
Folalytics. I want everyone to know
There's not that
this.
many L's in it.
Yeah, there are.
Politics.
No.
That's what I said earlier.
that's
Politics.
not right.
Politics.
That's not how I spell it. I spell it with 2 L's.
That's ridiculous.
Folalytics.
Well,
Right.
you got to remember his speaking.
It's
I'm gonna be very demure today.
It's a portmanteau.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh.
I know where it comes from, but it's politics, and that's all I'm ever gonna believe.
No, it's Folalytics.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
And with Folalytics, you never have to panic. I don't care if anyone's doing a run or anything else. All I've got to look is who's next on my board. If in those first 5 rounds, when I've got the top 60, whoever's next on my board, I'm taking them. People know I love Kyle Pitts. Okay, if you reach or him, if you reach farther than I'm willing to take him, though, then that's fine. I'll accept that. I'm going to be a little bit sad, but I'm not going to panic, because I've got my board, and I'm going to trust my board that I've put in the work with. And then when I get to the tiers, it's the same thing. I mean, there are pivots. I'm out of tier 1 running backs. I'm going to pivot over to the tier 1 wide receivers, even if I still have more of a need at running back. And I'm just going to load up on those receivers, and we'll figure out running back later.
So now that you've said that, your drafts in the past make sense.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it, because sometimes, like, somebody makes a pick, and you'll look at somebody and go, what the heck?
Uh-huh.
And you have made picks like that, and now it makes sense, because I see it now. So the next one, I'm not going to ask for, your rookie wide receiver that you saw on the Bears HBO special.
So Rome Odunze, that's who we're talking about?
Exactly. No, I'm not asking that. What I want to ask is, when it comes to a sleeper, do you prefer like a rookie over a veteran, or are you going a veteran over? What do you prefer? Are you going just rookie upside, or are you going veteran? I know I can guarantee points here. Or are you shooting for the stars? What's yours? Are you going high ceiling, low ceiling? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, for me, I like to have that balance. I like to look. Hey, I've got a bunch of upside players, so let me pivot now to a safer player. In general, though, I think people know this about me. I like rookies. I'm pretty good at identifying the rookies. I drafted Amon-Ra his rookie year. Ended up dropping him before he finally had the breakout. But
so does that actually give you credit if you do?
I had so much belief in that man.
You believed in him, and then
last year, what rookies did I have? Bijan Robinson, Jaden Reed, Michael Wilson, and I know there were more. So I do. I like rookies. I think that rookies are generally underdrafted based on how they end up performing. Most of the time, they outperform where they get drafted. I think there's a couple that might not be the case this year, but for the most part. That said, I will say I have one sleeper in my mind who is 29. He has never had a big year.
He's talking about the Rams wide receiver?
False. I'm talking about, I'll say it. I'll say it. I took him in the mock last night. Ray McLeod for the Falcons.
Interesting.
I'm feeling him. I don't know.
That would require Kirk Cousins not to die.
Not to die. Or for
And-
Michael Penix to be okay. Which I'm not big on Penix personally,
no,
but
I am not hype about any of these rookie quarterbacks this year. I just don't buy any of it. Caleb Williams might be okay. Jaden Daniels will probably be okay.
I'm starting to buy into the hype.
I don't. That is the one position that rookies don't.
I do agree
Don't
with
work
that.
with.
Yeah, I try to avoid rookie quarterbacks, although I am pretty high on Jaden Daniels just for the rushing upside. Depending on what scoring format we end up going with, if we still get the 3-point bonus,
Yep.
there's something to be said for Daniels. And I don't know, man. Caleb, I wasn't big on him for a while, but
he looks good.
he looks so good.
He looks good. I will agree with that because I have not watched, like I said, no preseason. I have not read anything. I'm going straight blind into this draft. I think I'm printing a sheet just to know where I can scratch them off.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will probably have no rookies because normally
At any position? Or just quarterback?
iffy on any position.
Okay.
The only reason is I know the top ones, but I don't know like the hidden gems that me and you are always like, you drafted him in like the 12th round.
Yeah.
So, let's see. What would you say? Now this is going to be funny. What would you say? We'll start with Evan since he's the youngest in this. What is your favorite draft moment?
My favorite draft moment was.
It's got to be last year, right?
I mean, that's up
What?
there. It's kind of a close one. It's either Foley almost dying in a mugshot
In the bathroom.
in the bathroom and texting in his picks from back there, or the other one, like we talked about earlier, Tony drafting the wrong kicker for Jaquita, and that was just the end of them having a good day at that point. Found that very funny.
So, okay, so give me two. Since he gave me two, give me
I'll
two.
give you, if they're both recent, I would say overall, and they're both the same years as Evans. That draft with Tyler Bass, that whole fiasco, that was the best draft I have ever had. I didn't win the championship that year. I think I might have ended up missing the playoffs. I can't remember.
I knocked you out first round.
Yeah, that's right. I went out in the first round. There were problems mid-season, but I looked back at that not too long ago at that draft board, and I was like, damn, that was a good draft. Like that was high level right there. So just like as a personal pride, that was good. But then no, yeah, the feeling after I got out of that bathroom and I got that milkshake in me. Holy hell. I'm sorry if this is a PG podcast. I almost cursed.
The funny thing is when I went to go check on him, he was like, I was like, oh my Lord, he's dead.
I'm honest. I don't know if I told y'all this. I told everyone at work that the feeling I had as I remember I yelled out, "Gimme Bijan," and I beelined to the bathroom. And the feeling I had as I made it to the bathroom, and the room was spinning the whole way. That was such a long walk. And I remember thinking to myself, this is what it feels like in the final moments of an enemy of Vladimir Putin. This is what it feels like to be poisoned.
Oh, Lord.
But then, man, I got back, and I got the box in there still, in my office still. It says Viper Vision on it, and I had that Viper Vision the rest of the draft. I was feeling it. I was hyped. I was probably annoying as hell, but I was having fun. It was good.
How about you? What's your favorite?
So, neither one of them, you were there, and I don't know if Foley was there for one of them. I know he wasn't there for one, but one was where we went to the Mexican place by Winn-Dixie.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot remember the name of it.
I think it's
Oscars.
Jalisco now.
It's not.
It was Oscars back then.
Oscars.
Yeah.
Where we had a group upstairs. It was like you had to walk up and give your pick. Because we were like upstairs, and it's just like single file, and it was like you walking up to the to the commissioner, like giving your pick because everybody's like, "What's going on?" And then the funniest to me has to be same shopping center, Mexican restaurant, Played Again Sports, and it's like you walk in, it's like every other Mexican place. And then they were like, "Oh, fantasy football!" So we go in this back room, and it's like a banquet hall. It's huge, and there's 12 of us in there drafting. There's like 20 tables in there, and we're out like at 2. And the funniest thing is Tony jumps up in like the 10th round, Gronkowski, and he puts the sticker up and everything. It's like, yeah! And we start looking, it's Dan Gronkowski. It's like,
That's
wow. But anyway, so what do you, go ahead.
Well, just one more thing on the rookies. I am generally, like, I was thinking about this earlier, I kind of have these rules of how long I wait for someone to have a breakout, which is why 29-year-old Ray McLeod is weird for me. Evan knows I was out on Nico Collins last year.
You were wrong.
I was wrong.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I
what was that, Foley?
Incorrect.
I was incorrect. It was a good system propping him up, and it's probably going to prop him up again.
Yeah.
But it happened. My general rule is, and this goes back to all of them, for quarterbacks, I'll give them 3 years to break out. Running backs only really get 1 year to have a big breakout, unless it's just, they just didn't have any opportunity. But if they just didn't, if they had chances and didn't show me, it's 1 year. Wide receivers, it's 2 years, and tight ends, it's 3 years.
Well, I think talking about that is, I think the problem with a lot of pro fantasy football people is they expect for college to
Instantly
mimic
translate.
the NFL.
Yeah.
Like AR. Love him. Went to Florida. I love it. And he's not Michael Vick. There was only 2 people, in my opinion, that were ever that running gun slashing quarterback. And I mean, one was Vick, and I mean the other one, I go all the way back to Randall Cunningham. That was, and I love both of those guys, but you cannot get those type of quarterbacks for the most part in the NFL. And people are like, oh, love Jane Daniels. I don't see it. And this is me,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, everybody. I don't even believe in Bo Nix.
Yeah.
After all the, he's great.
We can get into this now.
I am not on the Bo Nix train either. I think that the Broncos, even with Sean at the helm and no more Russell Wilson, I think it's a very down year for them this year.
So what I'll say about Nix is, I think that he's not going to be exciting for fantasy. I think he's going to be fine for the NFL. He's going to be kind of like an Alex Smith type, I would say. Like if you watch him, now at Auburn, he played completely differently, but at Oregon, he was just this really risk-averse quarterback. He can make the high percentage throws and be fine. Jaden Daniels, God, it scares the hell out of me. I am high on him. Man, I wish he would learn how to slide. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
He's going to get hurt.
He's so small, and he does not slide.
So saying that, we'll kind of go in. I didn't plan on this, but we'll kind of go into our sleeper draft. Evan wasn't in it, but it was me, James, Foley, and Garland.
Yeah.
Garland making up a rare appearance on the site. So, okay. Christian McCaffrey, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Amron. A little early for Amron for Garland, I think. But, okay. Everybody looks good. What do you think about C.J. Stroud this year? Wasn't a believer last year.
I don't see why he would go back. I mean, I think worst case scenario, he sits even with the way that he did last year. But I think he's probably going to have a good one.
Okay.
I agree. I mean, I don't know if I'm taking C.J. Stroud in the first round. I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Well, that's where he went. That's kind of what I'm going by.
I got you.
Like, they got him going over Lamar, AR, Jordan Love, Joe Burrow, Dak.
I'd take him over AR. I'd take him same round as a Dak or maybe a Jordan, but Lamar, I'm going with him over CJ every time.
I think I'd have to check my Foleytics. I have him definitely behind Lamar, and I think ahead of the rest. I have him like right next to Joe Burrow.
Okay. And then like on this, they have Puka going the second round. I don't see that.
It's bold. I think that he definitely comes down this year. I actually, getting back into the bounce back thing I was talking about, I think Cup's going to have a great year this year.
Cup's better than him.
He is a better receiver than him for sure, and he was
Foley,
fighting.
Chime in because
Foleytics did not love Nakua in coming out of college. I don't know. It's that Rams offense is hard to predict. I've done a ton of best ball drafts. Nakua does go in the second round. He goes constant, and that's where you're not even taking all those quarterbacks, so it's a little different. But yeah, Nakua's consistently going in the second round. I haven't gotten much of him. I think that Kupp is just a better bet based on where he's going. But, in that Rams offense, somebody's going to eat, and sometimes two people can eat. I mean, Nakua's in the old Robert Woods role. I mean,
Gotcha.
that's what he is.
So they have Marvin Harrison Jr. Second round.
Yeah.
He went right before you. You chose Jonathan Taylor. So
Yeah.
right before you, would you have taken?
No, I would have taken Taylor. And Taylor scares me, but man, there's not a worse backup running back situation in the NFL than the Colts.
Well, there's not a worse team in the NFL besides the Arizona Cardinals. So that's, I guess we need to do it like this.
Yeah,
So,
I'd love to talk about Harrison, though.
So I don't see it. You got Kyler Murray throwing to him, which is a disaster to me. And this is my opinion. I wouldn't bet $5 on Kyler Murray for anything. That's the way I feel. I feel he's not a good quarterback. So I feel like in that they're going to load the box, man to man, throw a safety on Marvin Harrison.
So this might be an unfair question, but all right, if that's how you feel, then what do you feel about Justin Jefferson this year?
Terrible. I would not draft him.
You would not draft him. Well, at least you're consistent then.
I would not. Look, I can go down the list.
Yeah.
I wouldn't draft him, and I'm not going to draft Chase. Who knows if he's going to play?
We're going to fight.
Yeah. I'm high on Chase, but I agree with you on Justin Jefferson.
I love Jefferson.
I think Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the NFL.
I think it's between him and Jefferson. And I think it's close. But I would take Chase over Jefferson. But I'm not going in this year wondering what
will he play? Yeah. Le'Veon Bell, anybody remember?
Exactly.
Who took him that year?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying is you're going to get caught up in a what-if game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Arizona, I'm not drafting anybody on Arizona. I'm not drafting anybody on the Vikings. Because right there, you're in a crap show.
Yeah.
That's bold.
You're old school New York Jets is who you are. You gonna get Tyler Conklin? You gonna pick him up, or what was the white?
Look, I think,
what was the white dude? Sherbet. Go ahead, get your Sherbet, man. I mean, load up on that.
I mean, think about it though. I mean, Josh Dobbs was quarterback for half the year for the Vikings last year. Jefferson did great. Jefferson ate.
I think that Josh Dobbs is better than Sam Darnold.
He might be, but Darnold in that offense.
I had Dobbs. Thank
Kevin,
you very much, because Herbert was dead, so I had to kick him up. So yeah, I'm not trusting any of them.
I mean, but Jefferson Darnold in that O'Connell offense. It's not going to be amazing. It's not going to be exciting. Fun fact: the best fantasy performance a Sam Darnold wide receiver ever had was DJ Moore at wide receiver 26, something like that. I think Jefferson can be better than that. I think he can and probably will still be a wide receiver one.
Once again, you got to have a quarterback and a decent running back. Who's our running back?
Aaron Jones.
Do you believe in him?
I think Aaron Jones is pretty good.
What, Evan? Talk to me.
I believed in him 3 years ago, and he's been middling to okay for the last 2 years.
Slide.
I
think he's still pretty good. I've never been an Aaron Jones guy. I've probably never owned him in this league.
Well, I love Josh Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
Love Josh Jacobs. But once again, it's a down spiral.
Sure.
And it
second contract running backs are tough. But what I'll say about Marvin Harrison, he is good. I don't know if he's as good as everyone makes him out to be. I'd like him to be a little bit faster. But, man, he can run some clean routes, and he's going to get open. And I don't know. I'm not as down on Kyler as you are. I think Kyler's okay.
I may be the thing. So, okay, Marvin, and I feel like they're, once again, I'm screwed this year because I only have a certain amount of teams I'm going after. Once again, the Panthers. So
my boy Xavier Legette.
So, okay, Legette, Thomas. Isn't Thomas on there?
It's Xavier Legette. Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, and the guy from Brandon.
Where's Adam Thielen still going?
The guy he did pretty well last year.
I know he did okay
because when he was with the Vikings, that's where he made his name.
Yeah. But he did all right last year as a high volume. He can't run vertical routes anymore, but just getting those underneath in a PPR league, he got a lot of catches. I think that's what Deontay Johnson's going to do more of this year. But Legette, all right. So go as far as rookies go.
Legette
for
or Harrison.
It's it's Harrison. Harrison's the clear number one. Legette's got competition still, but for me, in the real NFL draft, everyone had their big three wide receivers: Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze. For me, it was a big four. Legette was right there with them.
Okay,
for me.
Brian Thomas. I misread. He's on Jacksonville. So
Yes,
you still so who's your number one rookie wide receiver? Is it
for fantasy? It is Marvin. Yeah,
really?
I'll take Marvin. I've got him right next to Mike Evans on my draft board.
See,
and
oh
I can't.
Lord.
I'm debating between which one to put higher. I mean Marvin's going to be good. He's going to get a ton.
You
of
can
targets.
die on that hill. What do you think?
We'll have to check that one out. Let's see. We'll circle back towards midway in the season.
Yeah, I don't see that one. But like the Saints, who's everybody drafting on the Saints?
Oh, I got Olave in both rounds, in both sleeper mocks.
My other league is a keeper league, and I had Olave. I traded like an idiot. I traded off Sam Laporta and picked him up last year, and it was a big mistake last year. But I think Chris Olave is going to have a terrible first 3 weeks, and then when Spencer Rattler takes over that starting job, he's going to have a better second half of the season.
Stop it.
There's not a chance Derek Carr finishes the season as our QB.
There has never been a bigger hater of Derek Carr than yours truly. But I will give it to him. The last 6 weeks of the season last year, he started to look pretty good.
I guess, man.
Once again, he's going off of his Raiders legacy on his downward
I hated him
way.
in the Raiders.
He was good.
I didn't think he was good.
He was good for a little bit, and then he was really bad, and then he got sent to the Saints, and he pissed off the entire team.
And it's slowly
and
going down.
Just sinking, dude. I mean, these are the two things I feel 100% are going to happen in New Orleans this year. Dennis Allen is getting fired, and Derek Carr is losing the starting.
Dennis Allen should be fired.
He's an idiot.
He should have gotten fired
100%.
last year.
He's going to get fired.
And I don't think that Derek Carr is going to get y'all to a Super Bowl or anything. But as far as just being serviceable for a fantasy wide receiver, I think Carr is going to be good enough, especially if he can pick up what he did in those last 6 games of last year. And I mean, look, Olave, I mean, you're saying you want to avoid the Saints. Olave is someone who he did pretty well last year. He's got even less competition. Michael Thomas is gone.
I'm keeping it. I'm keeping Olave. I have middling expectations of his season, and I think he'll probably surpass that. But it's going to be a rough sled. It's not going to be the easiest route for him to do that, just because there's not a whole lot else in New Orleans to get in there and catch balls.
That's right. Tim and Rashid Shaheed.
Shaheed was pretty good, and he actually seemed to have a bit of a connection with Carr. Like, they worked better than he worked with Olave. But late round value, Shaheed is in there. I also kind of like Juwan Johnson if you're just not too concerned with the tight end position. I think he might be okay.
By the way, let's get this on record now. Do we know what Taysom Hill qualifies as in
Sleeper,
all
I think he can be both.
On Sleeper, it's both. I haven't.
Listed as both.
I can check.
As both what?
QB.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's actually lining up at tailback in preseason, all
Is he
preseason.
really?
Yeah, all of his snaps are
But
coming to
once
tailback.
again, you can't trust preseason.
No,
all that is.
I trust preseason more than you do.
That's a.
As far as what they do, where they line up,
that's a snake in the grass. You can't trust that.
watch when he's fullback all year.
I'm not saying he's not. I just don't see it.
I don't know.
I think he's still going to be the tight end. On running plays.
Yeah, I think it's gonna essentially be a wildcat when he's under center, and then he'd be tight end a lot of the time.
That's how I feel.
I don't hate Juwan Johnson. I know he's had some injury stuff going on this year.
I think he's gonna have tight ends who.
Yeah.
Who else is there?
I think this is a better year for tight end than there has been, though. I'll say that.
So this is going to be funny, and I like mixing the numbers and the talk. This is awesome. I like doing this, but this is going to throw y'all for a loop.
Okay.
And I wish I could do this individually because this is just I think it's too good not to do. Evan.
Yeah.
Who do you worry about in the draft? What owner?
Oh, what owner?
What owner are you like? Or you can give me a few. What are you like? Dang, I got to beat him this year. Or dang, I got to.
The big rivalry,
Uh-huh.
in my opinion, in this league is me and Foley. I feel like we are good friends, and yet when it comes to fantasy, I hate him. And I hope his team bursts into pieces. Although when it comes to drafting, we usually have differing like plans of attack.
I feel
he
like
very rarely takes somebody I'm like gunning for.
I feel like Foley is the pinata of the league.
Yeah,
Everyone wants a
just
piece
fun.
of me.
Yes, it's the bad guy.
I would say throughout the history of the last few weeks, I think Garland has taken more of my, like, jumped me by a position more often than anybody else. I don't remember who it was that snatched Mark Andrews, literally the position right before I was getting him. I was talking to Foley at the time. I was like, he's still there. I'm going to get him this time. And
then Garland jumps up. Yeah.
I was over there texting Garland. Hey, this is your...
Oh, goodness. So, Foley?
Yeah, I don't know. As far as the drafting, I mean, my rankings tend to be out there enough that I'm not particularly worried about someone sniping me. It happens, but it's not consistent.
Who are you like, I got to beat him this year?
It used to be Matt. I mean, for a long time, me and Matt kind of had, I don't know if he felt like it was a rivalry. I felt like it was a rivalry.
The unspoken rivalry.
Yeah. But no, Evans kind of forced it into being him now.
It's what it is.
He spoke it into existence. Yeah.
I'm really sad Matt's not going to be in this year because I do owe him back for his Asterisk championship against me that year.
Well, no, but hold the phone on that. So, are we clear? Is Matt?
I don't know.
Okay.
I messaged him yesterday, and probably shouldn't do this on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I messaged him, and he said that he was going to be in Jackson.
Okay.
So
we're drafting for him.
Either we're drafting for him, or
okay.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah. So that's what I want to get at. Okay, we're drafting for him. Maybe we help him manage the team. He is legally required to have a trade with me at some point.
Oh, Lord. No. Listen.
And I've had that rivalry with you, Uriah. I remember you getting so mad at me because I had Alexander Madison. I drafted Alexander Madison, and I was like, you had Dalvin Cook, and I was like, just go ahead and call me. Go ahead and call me. We can make this trade. And Dalvin Cook got hurt.
Yep.
Foley, I wouldn't trade you for your what do you call it?
We got to make a deal this year.
The Emporium?
Yeah.
I will not visit the Emporium ever.
I am the biggest hater of the Emporium. I don't think you and I have ever completed a trade.
I don't know if we have. We've had negotiations.
Plenty about
but
it.
a message to all of our Hubsouth members: come to the Emporium.
Don't do it.
For some great deals.
No free advertising. Don't listen to this.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by the Foley-Check Yourself secondhand fantasy player.
Look, it's his
Emporium.
frozen possum turds, and he's trying to sell them off as popsicles.
No, don't do it.
Yeah, do not visit that store.
It's terrible.
Nor because you'll get I'll give you Madison for, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, you don't,
I mean, look.
You don't really need it.
Look, he's a great guy. He gives charity. He goes to church. He gives to his church. He loves his kids. A great person. You should have him. And I'll just take Aaron Rodgers for you.
Matt has always been a satisfied customer. I think he would.
Well, Matt's crazy. You drove him out of the league this year.
Got it. Yeah.
So is anything else y'all want to talk about?
I don't know.
I figured we'd do the talk about the league. What do y'all think after the podcast?
Yeah,
sure.
I wasn't gonna put that.
I'll put it out there.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about which guys we hate the most.
Ooh.
Yeah, there are a few players that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole this year for sure, and I don't want to give that out because somebody's gonna draft them.
Arizona Cardinals don't draft anybody. They're dead except for Kyler and Marvin Harrison. Leave those two special place on your roster for Foley.
Who do you think bites on Zeke this year? Somebody's going to do it.
Someone's got to do it.
Somebody's going to bite on Zeke.
It feels like a Todd.
I feel like a Tony.
I was thinking Tony. Too.
Tony, definitely a Tony pick.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Way
Todd
early.
or Tony?
Yeah. Although Todd drafted really good last year.
He did, and it paid off.
Yeah.
Obviously, he won the championship.
Yeah.
He did.
He didn't really make any
I think the last
moves.
couple of years, Todd's been a really sharp drafter, actually.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we're going to sign off on this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you'll listen for the draft recap. And we'll talk to you later.